Joining us now, Riley Gaines, All-American champion swimmer. Riley, good to see you again.
It's nice to talk to you again. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. So we wanted to have you on since we last talked to you when you were here in Central Mississippi, championing your cause of not disallowing biological males from participating in female sports competition. You spoke last Thursday, I believe, right, at San Francisco State University, and it looks to me like you were ambushed by some activists who didn't agree with your point of view. Tell us what happened.
I sure was. I guess my first mistake was going to San Francisco in the first place, but truly I want to get in front of people who don't agree with me, which I knew this was the environment for that. And so I went to San Francisco State and I delivered a speech. The room was filled with protesters, along with people who were there in support. But it was after the speech, after I finished out answering all the Q&As, I was ambushed from people outside of the room. I'm talking hundreds of people in this mob who rushed in the room. They turned the lights off. They stormed the front of the room where I was, and they physically assaulted me. I was escorted out of the room by a police. So when we went in the hallway, we were met with even more ambushers. And so I had to sit in a classroom along that hallway for 3 hours where I had to lock myself in. I was barricaded. They were negotiating money if I wanted to make it home safely. I missed my flight home because there was no safe passage for me to get out of the room. It was truly quite the experience.
So they tried to extort you. They demanded money for you to just be able to safely exit the campus.
Correct. And the campus police who were there, I'm always grateful of police force. I think their job is admirable. They're so brave in what they do. But this campus police officers, they did a very poor job in ensuring that I was able to leave safely. They did not want to be assertive. They did not want to be seen as anything other than an ally to this community. And so it resulted in me being barricaded, kidnapped, essentially, held hostage for ransom for 3 hours.
Unbelievable. So do you believe, Riley, that these activists were students at San Francisco State University?
Yes, they were, because I know this because one of the administrators released the statement afterwards in an email to all their students and said she's so proud of their students for being so brave. She knows how hard it can be to have a difficult conversation, and she's applauded them for their bravery and peacefully protesting. Her word "peaceful." It blew my mind because we must have different definitions of the word peaceful.
Yeah, that would be Jamila Moore, Vice President for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management. I watched the videos. I've seen the still photos as well. It doesn't look very peaceful to me there, Miss Moore. I'm not sure what evidence that you consumed to come to the conclusion of peaceful protest. Did you feel like it was a peaceful protest?
Oh, my goodness, absolutely not. I feared for my life in a couple of those moments. It was chilling to think about what these people wanted to do to me, what they were screaming they were going to do to me. I could hear outside my speech, even in the hallway, I could hear protesters chanting. They would say, "Trans rights are under attack. What do? We fight back." They were telling me that I should have never come to their campus. I should have expected this. Did I really think I was going to come here and not get physically assaulted? So by no means did it feel peaceful in my eyes. Actually, even just today or yesterday, I believe, one of their student body presidents released a statement saying that I was the perpetrator of the violence, that I was the one who came to this campus, and my discriminatory rhetoric was what incited the violence, and I was the one who was responsible. And she actually called the police force who were there to protect. She said it was excessive and uncalled for.
So they're equating your spoken word to their physical ambush, assaulting, and extortion for freedom and safety. That's equivocated here by the president of this university.
And let me just reiterate exactly what I was there to talk on,
Okay.
because people listening to this might think I'm some sort of domestic terrorist. But what I was there to talk about was my lived experience in competing at the highest level, our NCAA championships. I swam for the University of Kentucky, competing at that level against a biological male who transitioned the year prior, swam 3 years on the men's team at University of Pennsylvania. His name is Leah Thomas. He went from ranking 462nd among the men to that next year winning a national title with the women. And so what I was there talking about is how this is unfair, how it's harmful to women, how Title IX is not being upheld, how sharing that locker room space is uncomfortable, it's traumatic, and how the silencing of our voices, what that looks like.
Right.
And so my whole message is not an anti-trans message. It's a pro-fairness message. I believe, of course, trans individuals should be able to play sports, but it's just about playing where it's fair and where it's safe, and that's not what we see when we have trans women or biological men competing with the women.
Right. Exactly. Well, you're incredibly brave, and I want to also pass on to you that my daughter, who is 32, is a huge fan and was really excited to know about you coming on the program today. She's a school teacher, so she's not able to tune in, but she'll catch the replay in the archives. So what compelled you to go to San Francisco State?
This past year, I've made it my mission to make changes, not just get on Fox News and complain about it. I want to do something to make changes, and so I've been traveling around state to state testifying in different legislature and different House and Senate because I think it's really important to make change that way, but I'm also trying to engage the younger generation, my generation. I'm 22. How can I get people who are my age to open their eyes and feel comfortable in expressing their own opinions?
Yeah.
And so I've been traveling all around. Last night I went to Liberty University and spoke, which was a nice, refreshing, a breath of fresh air compared to San Francisco. But I do want to get myself in front of adverse crowds, not for any reason other than to talk to people who don't agree with me, who need to hear this.
Yeah.
That's what my goal is. That's what my mission is, and that's exactly why I went to San Francisco State.
What do you think, Riley, about these 40 athletes, Olympic athletes, that have all come out in favor of allowing transgenders, essentially biological males, to participate in women's sports? Sent a letter.
The word that comes to mind is, of course, hypocrisy. Because when you think of someone like Billie Jean King, who was once, we have a large part to accredit to her for having Title IX in the first place. And when you think of someone like Megan Rapinoe, who, no, we don't agree on a lot, but she did fight for equal pay. She fought for equal access, equal resources for women compared to men. And now both of these women, along with many others who have publicly said, are fighting to diminish those rights and protections that they once fought so hard to get. And I think it's worth noting that these athletes who have signed on to this letter, they're done with their athletic career. And a lot of them don't have daughters to defend, and so they have nothing to personally lose by fighting for trans inclusion in women's sports. And so that's what we're seeing, which, again, it's just ironic is the best word for it. I don't see how they don't see the double standards in what they're fighting for now versus what they fought for when they were self-proclaimed feminists.
It's unbelievable. We said the same thing in advance of this interview on the show earlier that, hey, I got my trophies, I got my medals. You guys need to clean it up and be more virtuous. So they call it gender equity. So they're saying that allowing transgender women, that would be males who transition to a female, that allowing them to compete in female athletic competition would be equal equity, gender equity. That sounds crazy to me.
No, I agree with you. And again, it just highlights the really just the hypocrisy. It feels so quickly that we shifted really views because, of course, in the recent years, it has been the left that has always embraced empowering women and equal pay and all of the things we just mentioned. But now, so quickly, we've shifted.
Yeah.
And it makes you sit back and wonder, why? Why is this going on? What's the bigger picture? Are there ulterior motives? And we're seeing this happen not only in just sports,
Yep.
but prisons, and we're seeing it in the education system and so many other aspects of life. And you have to step back and think, what is the bigger picture? What are they trying to accomplish? Because there is an ulterior motive.
Totally
and it's
agree.
about finding out what that really looks like.
Totally agree. Riley, you're incredibly brave. You're brilliant. You're obviously a very beautiful and talented athlete. We thank you so much for joining us on Middays. We're going to keep tracking you, keep up the fight. Thank you, Riley.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much.
You got it. We're coming right back in the Element Wealth Studios on Midday. Stay with us.